Normally, we have a long speaker on Thursday night, except the last Thursday of the month, we always have three short speakers. Tonight, would you please help me welcome our first speaker, Jill.
Hi, everybody. I am Jill, and I'm an alcoholic. Yay. So, wow. It's really good to see everybody here, and I'm very happy and grateful to be here and be alive. This disease is going to take me out if I continue to drink. I actually have been living here in Prescott for about 18 years. It's gone fast, and I've been drinking off and on for those 18 years, even though I came into AA years ago. And I've struggled ever since. I'm originally from California, Malibu. I grew up in a pretty fast pace, good lifestyle, hung around a lot of movie stars, did a lot of crazy stuff back in the day. But until I really studied myself personally, I figured out that I've had anxiety ever since I was a little kid. I was adopted. I grew up in a loving family, but a very dysfunctional family. I had a brother that was adopted also, and my adopted father had a nervous breakdown when I was young, and never got better. He was in the mental institutions, and my mom used to take my brother and I there. And I had a lot of mental illness in my family, and my parents, after that my mom met another man who was amazing, and he was my dad, and they fought constantly. My mom was a really strong woman, a screamer, and that was normal for us. We would get in fights and scream at each other, and everybody would be appalled, be like, what the heck? And 5 minutes, we'd bounce back, and that's how I grew up. And I just remember having severe anxiety and fear ever since I was very little. And it was just built in me, When we'd go to Disneyland, I would lay in bed being afraid, you should be laying in bed being excited, right? And I also grew up a geek. I was made fun of a lot. I did graduate high school, but I didn't really figure out when my first drink was, and I did recently figure it out. It was when I was probably 8 or 9. I was at dinner, a religious dinner, Passover. That's another thing. I always felt kind of left out because I grew up Jewish. I never, ever really understood the faith, or I've never had faith. I think that's probably where the anxiety and fears come from, But I remember I was the youngest child always, and we have Manischewitz wine. And so I remember sipping that Manischewitz wine, and the youngest child has to recite certain prayers, and that took the fear out of me. And it was just an automatic thing, for me. I don't really remember drinking much after that. My parents didn't drink, but they fought constantly, and they were on medications. I had a brother that he had mental issues, and my mom always said, you're the strong one. And I was in therapy when I was really young because they called me a triangle child. I was in between my parents constantly trying to appease one or the other, fixer. So in junior high school, I remember drinking, and boom, I just was the one that passed out in the bathroom, and people couldn't get in the bathroom. I just drank like that. I just drank. Crashed many cars, blaming it. It was always funny, my contact popped out, and I almost went through somebody's freaking house, and just stuff. Crashed my other car. Always had boyfriends, very insecure. Constantly had boyfriends. I had them lined up. And my mom would help me. It was kind of bizarre crap that went on in my life. But, and in high school I drank, just drinking was a priority for any social event or anything, jobs. I had some amazing jobs, and I remember going and being completely hung over. And it was like, okay, that was what we did. And who does that? So later on, I got married when I was 21, and I didn't really have a voice, without alcohol. And just a lot of stuff happened to me, crazy stuff. And that marriage lasted for about 6.5 years, drank all the time. When we bought our house, we made sure we bought the model with the wet bar in the bedroom, right? It was just like, it was normal. And when I got married, I've been married 4 times, okay? And now I look at that, and I have to work. Oh, my sobriety date, sorry you guys, is April 22nd of this year. Really proud to say every day when I've been going to meetings, every day announcing that I'm a newcomer for the very first time ever have done that. Never did it before. Didn't think I needed to, or do what people told me to do. And I remember that my second marriage, I had a son who I have a son now, he's 28, he's freaking amazing, and he's in my life. That marriage to his dad, everywhere we went, we had the Boda bag. I mean, I think my son before his first year, we went to 9 fairs. And the first thing we did is get beer and beef jerky. I mean, and we owned a roofing company in Beverly Hills and all that stuff, and that drinking took us down, totally. I won't get into it, but that ended up in a separation, and he left when my son was 2. He was a severe alcoholic. So was I, but he was 9 years older than me. So as they say, this is a progressive illness. It is. And I remember when we were first dating, I knew he had a problem. And I went to Al-Anon because my husband had a problem. And I just was so out there with this whole thing. And it was my life. It was just my way of life. That's how I lived, and just mowed through guys, mowed through life, mowed through jobs, thinking everything was always going to be okay, And so he left when my son was 2, and we have never seen him since. So my son has grown up without a dad, which is heartbreaking, and I've always tried to compensate for that, I did marry again, and I married a con man, and because of my drinking and using drugs, he took advantage of me, and I lost everything. And this was probably about 2.5 weeks ago that I realized, and it was such a relief to me that was my fault. I carry resentments, and I have a new sponsor, and she said, "Have you ever heard of Medusa?" And I'm like, "No, who is that?" I guess that's like a crazy person or an angry person, like that can turn like from Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And I'm like, that is me. When I drink, I put nails down your sink. I rip your. It's not even me or the person I want to be, but so I lost everything, and I met somebody and moved to Arizona. That's how I'm here. My son has been dragged through everything with me. And for the last few years, I've been in and out of this program, but I've never worked the steps. I've had a sponsor for 3 years who's an amazing person. I mean, I just love the people in this program, and when I'm doing this, it's the happiest I could ever be. I just, and I realize now that I got mental illness, and I drink. All my adult life I've drank, and I used to be a real social drinker. I did some real fun stuff, you guys, and danced on stage in Hollywood with the Chippendale dancers. Woo, thinking, yeah, that's normal. I just was like that and had a blast. And my drinking got really bad when I moved here and I lost everything. I laid on a couch for over a year with a bottle of vodka and almost died. I mean, everything had to be thrown away in my house because I didn't even do dishes. And my son went to go live, thank God, with friends that totally understood. And I just crazy stuff, I've been with people that have been extremely abusive, because I had no self-esteem, no reaching out to anybody in this program. And now what I have to share is I'm done. I have such hope, and I'm not a kid anymore. I just turned 60, and ever since I've committed myself to this program, I have friends, women in this program that have guided me seriously and taken care of me, and I've taken advantage of that over all these years, you know. And now I'm committing myself to it, you know. And I was scared at first to really do it because I don't know if it's because I'm Taurus, whatever, I'm stubborn. But, you know, where has that gotten me? I mean, I have been the last few years in different jobs, different relationships, drinking alone in bed for weeks at a time, throwing up and going into detox and rehab. And I used to work at one of the rehabs here, 2 of them. I took a job working with girls at risk up at Mingus Mountain Academy, and I almost had 4 years sober. But I wasn't really going to meetings, and I got a 1-year chip and a 2-year chip, and I didn't even bother to get my 3-year chip. What is that? I mean, milestones are amazing in this program. Every day is amazing for me that I reach out now, and I connect with people, and people call me, you know, and I come to meetings, and my other sponsor told me you need to share at every meeting, you know, and I just do. I just do it. And my new sponsor's tougher. I still contact my old sponsor because I can learn from everybody. But we're going to a retreat here coming up. That's the amazing thing in this program, you guys. There's so much to do. If you want this, there's so much to do in this program, sober and with people you know, that are reaching out. You have to want it. And I was planning on driving myself to this retreat because I wanted to go visit my parents' graves because I have a lot of stuff to tell those guys, right? And I haven't done it. And my new sponsor said, well, no, we're going to carpool because that's what fellowship is, you know, and this is what we're going to do. And I'm like, okay, you know. And it's like having somebody there to help you through this is the biggest relief off my shoulders. I don't have to try to figure this out. I just know it works, you know. And I don't retain a lot of stuff when I read, you know. Like we did the first chapter of the 12 and 12 the other day. We spent 4 hours in her car, and I was like, oh my God, it's been 4 hours, you know. And I was like, wow. I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited, you know. I'm going to live. I'm going to live, and I'm going to have a life. And, you know, my son loves me and has been through everything with me. And he has had so many fears of not wanting to share stuff with me because he's so afraid I'm going to relapse, because that's what I do. You know, I'm an event relapser. When something happens, like this last job I had, you know, somebody kept stealing my chair, so I decided to relapse at work, right? It's like, are you kidding me? What the heck? Yeah, so it's ridiculous. And for me, what that led to was moving in with somebody who took me into their home and laying in my room for 2 weeks, drinking and throwing up and not functioning. So if you're new in this program, I'm new in this program, but if you're young and you're in this room, you know, and you're here for a reason, and you can have an amazing life, you know, you really can. I've seen it. I've had God shots, and that is the only thing I could ever relate to, like as far as faith-based or spiritual-based for me. Religion, that's just, you know, it's not for me. It was pretty intense when I grew up, and I never related to it. But spiritual, this whole spiritual program for me is like, I can understand everything you say, I get you, I get it. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God. It's huge, you know. And yeah, I'm just very blessed. My son and I are going kayaking tomorrow. And I talked to him about it a week ago, and I didn't bug him like the whole week. You know, normally I'm like trying to control everything. That doesn't work, and it's the biggest relief, you know. And I think for me, that is tremendous growth, you know. And we're going kayaking, you know, and it's just like, hey, I'm just keeping it simple, as simple as I can, and not trying to run the show. I got 1 minute. Oh, and then this morning I heard something really cool. Okay, so this lady said spiritual malady and not working this program is that you don't know God and you don't know peace. You don't know God, N-O, and you don't know peace, N-O. But if you work this program, you will know God, K-N-O-W, and you will know peace, K-N-O-W. And I'm like, that is way cool. I like that. So thanks, guys, and thanks for asking me to share.
Thanks, Jill. Great job. Looked like you were having fun too. Please help me welcome our next speaker, Josh.
My name's Josh. I'm an alcoholic. Hey, Josh. My sober date is November 27th, 2020. So today's 6 months. And thank you. The last day I used was in Phoenix, and nothing good happens in Phoenix with drugs. But before I start talking about Phoenix, I want to take you back to where I started. I was born in Russia, Moscow, Russia, and I was adopted by my parents that lived in Baltimore, Maryland. I was adopted at 4 years old and 4 months. I was really young. I don't have much memory of Russia. I really don't have much memory of when I was younger either. Like growing up in Baltimore. So yeah, I lived in Baltimore for about 10 years, and I loved it there. Like, Baltimore's my home. I'm from the East Coast, and like, anyone here from the East Coast, like, shout out, because I love Baltimore. That's right. That's right. My mom's a New Yorker, and so she's like, I love my mom. I really do. I love both my parents, and I had a normal childhood, I think, growing up. It was like every other childhood, but I got in a lot of fights. I was a kid that like strangled other kids as a 6-year-old. I was that type of kid. And so, yeah, I mean, looking back into school growing up, I was expelled from 2 middle schools, expelled from 3 high schools, and asked to leave a few, actually, which doesn't mean expelled, it's just asked to leave. So, you know what I mean? I'm actually still in high school, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie, it's been a journey. Yeah, let's see, what do I got here? Okay, so, yeah, I went to this really ghetto school in Baltimore, like really ghetto, and so that's where I learned how to smoke weed, and I was 13 or somewhere around there. It was at a playground. I looked really stupid. I thought I was the shit because I was a 12-year-old with some seniors just smoking weed, but I didn't. I look like a loser if I look at it from my standpoint now. And so, you know, my parents caught on real quick. They were like, something's going on. I'm acting slow. I'm like sleeping all the time. I'm throwing up. So they sent me to treatment already. They caught me that quick. I like smoked it like 3 times or something like that. So I went to California, and in Newport Beach. I was there for 3 months, and it was not, it wasn't the place I wanted to be. They took my shoes my first day, and I was just pissed. I was mad. I was like mad at my parents. They gooned me, okay? So meaning, anybody knows that term? It means big Samoan guys just take you and like take you to California. As a young kid, you know, that's fucked up. So, yeah, I mean, so, let's see, California, lots of snobby kids in California too, so I got out of there real quick, went back to Baltimore, And, you know, I begged my parents, I told them, I pleaded with them, I was like, don't send me back to that place, I'll kill you. I didn't really say that, but I was really mad. I was really mad. So, yeah, then I went harder than ever the next week, like, coming back. I met with some kids because they taught me, too, at California, they taught me about drugs. They taught me, like, how to smoke. There was, like, I swear, there were, like, 10-year-olds that were, like, smoking meth, and, like, you know, I didn't know none of that. I was just a young pothead. Like, I was just so innocent. But they taught me, so, yeah, I mean, I could blame my parents on that one. So, yeah, I got back and I started taking acid. And actually, acid's my DOC, because, I don't know, I'm a loony. I really like acid. You know, I fooled around with some pills, you know, like, there were pills here and there that my friends would give me, and I didn't really enjoy it, you know, so I stuck to acid and I got crazy. Anyway, so then I went back to treatment, obviously. I went back to treatment after using for about maybe a year. I went back to treatment to Utah this time, though. And my dad sat me down in a Starbucks this time and said, he said, hey, we're sending you to treatment again. I started walking out. I said, fuck that. So I started running. I was mad. I was like, I'm not doing it again. I'm not. And then I finally got there. You know, I did not like Utah at first. I hated Utah. And I now love Utah. Seriously, like, I learned some things there that I didn't take advantage at the time. I was 16 when I went into Utah, and I didn't take advantage of all the skills they were teaching me. I kind of brushed it all off. They taught me some really good therapeutic stuff, but, you know, I wasn't ready to listen, and I didn't want to listen. So, yeah, so in Utah, you have to like leave, so you're like, the treatment center is your parent basically before you're 18, meaning you have no rights. So I was 17, just about to turn 18, and I was ready. I was like, I'm dipping, I'm gonna get high, you know, how my mind works. And so they sent me to a boarding school. I turned 18 at my boarding school. If anybody knows anything about a boarding school, it's fun. It's real fun. And that's where, you know, I tried to stay sober. I really did at 18. When I first turned 18, I tried to stay sober. I really wanted it, part of me. And then I had a girlfriend. You know, that was my mistake. I got a girlfriend, and it was puppy love, to be honest. It was straight puppy love. And she went back to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Fuck Tulsa, by the way. And she went to Tulsa, and she cheated on me. She slept with another guy, and I was hurt. I was insecure. I was a mad little 18-year-old. I was like angry at everyone, and so yeah, I broke up with her, and then got high, because if I can't punish you, I'm going to punish myself. That's just how my mindset worked. Anyway, so I then decided to get high there and start selling drugs to kids at the boarding school. So I'm 18, I'm an adult at this point, and I was selling drugs to like 16, 17 freshmen, and you know, I didn't look at it like I was ruining their lives. I was just looking to get money. I was just looking to get paid and just be happy. I thought that was happiness. So, let's see. So then I got kicked out of the boarding school. Funny story, actually. I got kicked out. I was really high, really fucking high, when they picked me up. Someone at treatment center in Prescott picked me up, and you know, this little guy comes to me and is like, get in the car. And I'm like, who are you? You're like, you're a midget, you know, like, I was really mad. And the principal at my boarding school, was really, he was tired of me. He was just done. Like, I was just getting high for months on straight there, and he was just done. So he sat me down and tried to have a serious talk on, like, Josh, you can't do this anymore. I didn't really remember what he said. I was like in and out the whole time. And then I just remember getting up, and then I blacked out. I black out a lot. And so I blacked out, and apparently I started running with my shirt off. But a friend told me later that I made a gun motion with my fingers, and I went to his forehead and said, pow, pow. And then I just started running. I don't know, it's stupid. I've never done something that retarded, but, you know, that's just what I did. I did stupid-ass shit just because I thought it was cool. So, yeah, I got to Prescott, and I didn't get it the first time. I got here February 17th, 2020, and I left after like my third week or something like that, and decided to get drunk for 1 week, you know, steal from the Walmart right down the street and just get drunk. And I eventually like went back to the treatment center with I like to say a tail between my legs. I was just so embarrassed. Like, well, not really embarrassed. I was still like, F this, you know, I want to do my thing. But they took me back. They cared about me. No one took me back, like, and was willing to put up with my bullshit. Like, they were just, these guys, like, they still are putting up with my bullshit. And I'm forever grateful. So then I left again. I know I'm a slow learner. So went to Phoenix. Yeah, this is where the Phoenix part comes in. And I smoked meth with a random dude. Just, you know, I never smoked meth before, and I was just like, you know what, fuck it, what do I gotta lose? So this guy's name's Oscar, if anybody knows him. He looks exactly like Oscar the Grouch. Like, he looks disgusting, but he's on like 35th and Van. It's nasty, whatever. So I thought it was going to be a one-time thing. I was going to smoke it and then just come back to my treatment center, but that's not how it worked. I called them and I was like, pick me up. They were like, no, okay, cool. So then I proceeded to continue getting high. And yeah, so smoked fentanyl and perks, and you know, I should have died that week. Looking back, I really should have died. My body took a lot, and it was a sad time. It was a sad time for me because I wanted to die. That's the truth. I really just wanted to die. I didn't want to be alive. I just, you know, didn't have anything to live for at that point. And so somehow I got a ride back to my treatment center after being there for a week. I know it's a week, but it felt like misery. So then I came back, and I thought I was going to be a good boy 1 week, stayed there for about 2 weeks, and then I went to jail. I stole from this guy that was trying to help me in the program. Stole money from him. I look back at it as like, what were you doing? You know, I look back and just ask myself, like, how far do you need to dig? Like, aren't you already there? I'm like always asking myself that now, and it's like, wasn't that enough at Phoenix or back in Baltimore? Is it never enough? So, you know, I sat in jail for 5 days, and I ain't never been in jail like that, you know, and some people here have been there for like years, and honestly, I don't know how y'all did it. I was there for 5 days, and I was like crying like a bitch, but whatever. I ain't even gonna lie, I was crying like a bitch. So yeah, I'm now on probation for the next 18 months. Shit sucks, but you know, I did it to myself. I gotta look at it like I did this to myself. I was the one that put myself on probation. Anyway, that's enough this storytelling. The steps. I'm really happy today, seriously. There's part of me that's like, I started working the steps with Mike Bennett, who also dressed me today. So we got the fifth step, admitted to God. We went on a drive and I listened to him and he, really wise words. I liked it. He liked it. Good time. Then I got more to say about it, but there was just so much I had to admit to him that it was like I was actually getting honest with someone that I've never gotten honest about. I've never really dug into something about my life. Anyway, so sixth step, I just want to talk about that. Talking about my religion a bit. I was actually raised Jewish. I had a bar mitzvah and everything, so I know it's shocking. So yeah. So then, my idea of God was really warped. I didn't know who to believe in, and I didn't know if he was real at one point. I really, honestly, like looked past it. And right now, my idea is that, I think there is a God. I don't want to get too deep into this because this is a long conversation, but I think there is a God, and I'm happy because I know that he's a loving one. I know that he's there for me and not against me this time. And then last, I want to talk about my ninth step. I had a good amount of amends to make. I had a good amount of amends, especially to my mom. My mom has been my rock, seriously. She is put up with a lot of my bullshit. I mean, coming home drunk, all the way to embarrassing her when she has friends over. It's I've sent her a letter, and I don't know if she's read it or anything, but I've tried this ninth step before with her. I think she wants to see action this time around. She doesn't want to hear words or see anything like that. She wants action, and I respect that. Respect my mom. I love her. My dad, love him too, but he's an engineer. I know I'm gonna have my parents listen to this. He's really awkward. Hey, when I say this, I mean Dad. I hope you're listening, but I try hugging him, okay? So I try hugging him. This guy tries shaking my hand. Okay, whatever. It's a little weird of me. I love him, but whatever. God. Anyway, I think I'm just about out of time, but this program really does work if you have a willingness to work it, and if you're also on probation for the next 18 months. Anyway, that's all I got. Thank you.
I didn't physically dress him. Well, kind of. All right, you guys are doing wonderful, and thank you so much for staying in your seats and being respectful to the speakers. It really does make for a great meeting. And at this time, let's introduce our last speaker, Frankie.
Hello, everybody. Super nervous. I read something pretty funny. It said, when we're born, our brain starts working, but I guess apparently when you start public speaking, it stops. So I'll try my best. I wrote quite a bit down. My name is Frankie. I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is October 3rd, 2020. I was born and raised in Prescott, Arizona. I was born at West Campus, which is here in Prescott. My parents I have mom and dad that are still married, almost 40 years, I believe, next month. I have a sister that is 4 years older than me. She's a teacher. Growing up, I had a great childhood. My dad was super involved in my life, played lots of sports, I'm sure to keep me out of trouble. I played soccer from the time I was 5 until I was 20. I used to travel from soccer to baseball in the same weekend. I'd change my soccer uniform to my baseball uniform. My parents would always take me to my games, and it was always a rush, but they were always there for me. I graduated here from Bradshaw High School in 2000, so I've lived here for 38 years. When I was growing up, I would go to parties, hang out with friends. I had a friend named Kenny, and we would go to parties and get the red Solo cup at the parties and not drink. I didn't like the way alcohol tasted. We'd pretend to be drunk just to kind of fit in with all our friends, and I guess it worked. I got to college. I went to Yavapai for a few years, studied fire science, emergency medicine, and I met another friend, Bryce. I was his best man in his wedding. I met him in English class, and we had to tell people about that person. I said, "This is my friend Bryce." I kind of joked around and told him what he liked. People laughed. He was getting ready to leave that day out of class. Asked him what he was doing. He said he was going to go get drunk. This is 10 o'clock in the morning, so I'm like, hey, I want to hang out with that guy. Him and I became good friends. Instead of going to class at college, I would go drink with him. We ended up having a pretty good group of friends. I thought. I worked in a restaurant, saved no money, absolutely. I'd make $300 in a weekend. I'd blow it all on alcohol. We'd work. After we get off work, we'd go drink, go hang out, stop going to class. I'd say I was going to class, and I'd end up going out and drinking and getting fucking wasted. So I did not graduate from college. I did get some certificates. I did work here at actually the hospital at East Campus in Prescott Valley in the ER for 8 years. I got to the point of drinking. Last year was pretty bad. The coronavirus. I worked for a doctor's office here in town, and with the doctor's office, they were pulmonologists, so I was exposed to the coronavirus quite a few times. My manager always joked about getting it, and she actually did get it, and I was told to go home one day. My dad has stage 4 renal cell carcinoma that's in remission right now, so we were staying with him. I was staying with him, and I didn't want to be around him. I was told that I needed to quarantine, so I stayed with my girlfriend and my boys in a hotel for, I don't know, probably 2 months. And all I did was drink. I got fucking wasted every day. I would drink about 20 to 30 shots of Fireball a day. Bear with me here, sorry guys. I have 5 children. I have a 16-year-old daughter. I have twin girls that are 14. I have a 4 and a 5-year-old boy. So on Saturday, I will have 2 5-year-olds, 2 14-year-olds, and a 16-year-old. My 5-year-old is in kindergarten. He's learning his colors, his numbers, and his little brother, looks up to him constantly, following him around. And one day I was in their room, and my 4-year-old's learning his colors, and he looks at me, and he's telling me stuff that's on the wall, dinosaurs, colors, and he looks at me, and he tells me that my eyes are yellow. and it broke my heart. So I got drunk that night. And, sorry guys. I called my sister. I'm very close with my sister. And I told my sister that I wanted to quit drinking. I did that plenty of times when I was drunk. I'd sit there at the end of the night and say I was done. But I'd get up the next day and drink again because I didn't want to feel like shit. So I was drinking at the end just to stay fucking what I thought was sober, trying to get back on an even keel. If not, shake and go through detox, and it sucked. A little bit more about my family. I got myself into some trouble a few years back in 2018. And DCS got involved with my children. My kids were taken away. It took me a year and a half to get them back. We would have to, one of the steps to get them back was to test with, there's a company here in town called Task. I'm sure that some of you guys are familiar with them, or PSI in Prescott Valley. You have to call every day, see if you had a test. And I found ways around that to still drink, even though I was being tested. Pretty much when somebody's telling you don't want not to do something, you're more likely to do it, which I was. Finally got my daughters back, and it was tough because the judge had ordered me to go see them in their hometown. They live in Baghdad. And after not seeing them for a year and a half, it was pretty strained. I mean, and I don't blame them. They really didn't want anything to do with me. I'd sit in their front yard with their mom and their stepdad watching. It's super uncomfortable. When I first got to see him, I was not working a program. I was not in AA. I didn't know what to say to him. I was just kind of there, letting them see their little brothers, and I had no clue what to do. I didn't know how to fix the relationship. So I just stopped going. We had to communicate through an email that the judge could see, and one of the messages that my daughter sent me was that they didn't want me to come, and it said, "Sorry, not sorry," and it broke my heart. And it wasn't really fair to them because one of my twins that would like to see their brothers, and I just stopped going. So it was a pretty selfish reason to stop going, but it sucked because the rejection. I mean, anybody has a strained relationship with their children and is super close, they'll understand. So, like I said, I stopped going. It was October of 2019 is the last time I saw my daughters again. And then, again, the coronavirus happened, and then staying in a hotel. And then in October, when I quit drinking, I got super sick. After my son had told me that my eyes were yellow, I detoxed myself. I sat on a couch and played games on my phone and drank a thirst buster. Well, I guess they're called something quenchers now at Circle K, full of water. I would do that just to try and stay hydrated, and I did it with no help, and it sucked. I finally ended up going to the hospital because of how yellow I was getting. When I got to the hospital, I found out that I had pancreatitis. They kept me in the hospital, and then they had did CAT scans, MRIs up here, and they didn't find anything. They sent me home with anxiety medication after being in the hospital for 2 or 3 weeks. Told my parents I still wasn't feeling good. I went back again, and they let me go home again. They said they'd done a CAT scan. There's nothing they can do. The third time I went back in there, I knew the doctor. He said that they've done everything that they can, and that he was going to transfer me to a GI doctor down in Phoenix. I was transferred down to Phoenix to, I think it was something Boswell, and they found out I had a cyst on my pancreas. It was a 6-centimeter cyst that was on my pancreas. I found out that it was not cancerous, which was good. They let me go home after being in the hospital and treating the GI symptoms that I had. I continued to get sick, came back to the hospital again. My liver was twice the size that it should have been, and my pancreas was pretty much shutting down, so they gave me a steroid to try and shrink my liver. And this steroid ended up giving me high blood sugar because my pancreas was not functioning properly. So I went back again to the hospital. They gave me insulin. I was in there for another week trying to figure out what was going on with my blood sugars. I was left with an insulin pen, knew nothing about, a little bit of my medical background, I know about diabetes, but having to try and figure that out was pretty tough. I had checked it a few times. I was told after I was done with the steroid that I would be done with the insulin. I shouldn't have to take it anymore. I finally went back to Phoenix again. They did, they're called, I believe it's EGDs, endoscopy. They went in at least 8 times to go in and try and remove the cyst that was in my stomach. The very first time I went in there, I probably should have died. I woke up after the procedure. I was in my room, and I just wanted the light turned off in the room, so I called the nurse in, and it was like an hour, and the nurse didn't come in, so I finally just got myself out of bed, went and turned the light off, and went pee, went back to my bed, and I threw up, and it was all blood. Those emesis basins, if you guys are familiar with them, I threw up about 6 or 7 of them full of blood. The doctor had nicked a vein in my stomach, and so my stomach was just filling with blood. Time? Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I wanted to just touch base. The last time I was in the hospital was a few weeks ago. I've been in the hospital probably at least 20 or 30 times since October. I am doing better now. A lot of people, if you knew me in October, you probably would not recognize me. I've lost about 60 pounds. So thank you, Mike Bennett, for trying to dress me tonight. My dad gave me his jacket, and it's a little big on me. I do have a great girlfriend here that did buy me some new clothes, so thank you for that. I got to shop at the Buckle, and she spent a little bit of money on me. So in closing, the newcomers, I just wanted to say there is hope. I am super emotional about my sobriety. I've had a great sponsor, Mike Bennett, thank you. My dad and my family are my number one supporters. I know I've put my family and friends through a lot. My girlfriend has been through plenty, and I don't blame her for the way she feels. I want to close with a story. It says, at a spiritual retreat, I heard this story. It says, an old man told his grandson, "My son, there is an endless battle that goes on inside of all of us. It is between 2 wolves. One wolf is bad. He is anger, envy, regret, greed. arrogance, resentment, and lies, superiority, and ego. The other is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. The grandson asked his grandfather, which wolf will win? The grandfather answered, depends on which one you feed. So every day I have a choice to feed a wolf, and I have been trying to feed the good wolf. I'm nowhere near perfect, but I'm trying to continue this sobriety, and I'm currently on my 9th step, so with hopefully the love and support of my family and my self-will, I can try and stay sober. So I guess that's my time. Thank you, guys.
Okay, KD is searching for our speakers because she is going to host you to the door. And it is important that all of you thank the speakers on your way out before you leave, please. So follow KD to the door. And let's give another big hand to our speakers.